The year is 1765. A storm is brewing across the Atlantic. It isn't a storm of wind and rain, but a storm of anger and defiance. The British Parliament, in an attempt to raise revenue, has passed a new law. This law, the Stamp Act, will soon ignite a firestorm of resistance in the American colonies. The Stamp Act was a direct tax on the colonists. It required them to pay a tax on all sorts of printed materials. Newspapers, legal documents, even playing cards were not spared. Every piece of paper seemed to be branded with the mark of British authority. This act, the colonists felt, was a direct assault on their rights. They were outraged. They had no representation in Parliament. How could they be taxed without their consent? The Stamp Act was about more than just money. It was about principle. It was about freedom. And the colonists were prepared to fight for it. The Stamp Act's reach was vast, extending its grip into every corner of colonial life. Merchants, lawyers, printers, and ordinary citizens alike felt the weight of this new tax. Every transaction, every contract, every newspaper seemed to carry with it the sting of injustice. For many colonists, the tax represented a significant financial burden. The cost of goods and services rose, business slowed, the economic impact of the Stamp Act was undeniable, fueling resentment and hardship. Beyond the immediate economic strain, the tax struck a deeper chord. It represented a violation of fundamental rights. The colonists saw it as a threat to their liberty and autonomy. The cry of "no taxation without representation" echoed through the streets and taverns, a rallying cry against perceived tyranny. The Stamp Act ignited a firestorm not just because it emptied pockets, but because it ignited a sense of injustice. The colonists, accustomed to a degree of self-governance, were suddenly confronted with the harsh reality of British control. The seeds of rebellion were sown. The response to the Stamp Act was swift and resolute. Across the colonies, a chorus of defiance rose against this perceived injustice. From the bustling streets of Boston to the rural farmlands of Virginia, the colonists found their voice. Petitions, signed by thousands, flooded the desks of colonial assemblies. Eloquent speeches denouncing the Stamp Act rang out in town halls and public squares. Newspapers, now subject to the very tax they protested, became powerful tools of dissent, spreading awareness and galvanizing resistance. But the colonists' resistance extended beyond words. They embraced a powerful economic weapon, the boycott. Merchants refused to import British goods, their shelves standing bare as a testament to their commitment. Colonists found alternatives, making do with homespun clothing and locally produced goods. This unified act of defiance, a testament to the colonists' resolve, struck a blow at the heart of British trade. The boycott demonstrated the power of collective action, proving that even in the face of a mighty empire, the will of the people could not be ignored. As the flames of resistance spread, a new force emerged on the colonial stage, the Sons of Liberty. This clandestine group, composed of merchants, artisans, and laborers, dedicated themselves to fighting the Stamp Act and defending colonial liberties. Shrouded in secrecy, the Sons of Liberty organized protests, rallies, and acts of defiance. They staged mock funerals for the Stamp Act, hung effigies of tax collectors, and even raided the homes of British officials. Their actions, while sometimes radical, served as a visible symbol of colonial discontent. The Sons of Liberty understood the power of symbolism and spectacle. Their public displays of resistance, often theatrical and dramatic, captured the public imagination and inspired others to join the cause. They became a powerful voice for the voiceless, channeling the anger and frustration of ordinary colonists into a focused movement for change. The emergence of the Sons of Liberty marked a turning point in the struggle against the Stamp Act. It demonstrated the growing organization and determination of the colonists, their willingness to take risks and challenge British authority head-on.